Happy Facebook Live Wednesday. Would you believe that today is my 39th Facebook Live? I've done about 70 Instagram Live parenting tips, and I've interviewed 40 people. Crazy. So today, if you read the little topic, it is, what do you do when you dislike your child? Remaining calm is a universal challenge, isn't it? Especially when it comes to the most difficult role in the universe, raising a child. We're supposed to practice patience. We're supposed to love unconditionally. We're supposed to accept your child exactly the way they are. How do you do that when they're pushing your buttons, right? They're argumentative. They're disrespectful. They feel like a constant draining battle. And when you wake up, you think, oh no, not again. When you see their rolling eyes, when you hear their sighing. Hey, Melinda, oh my gosh, it's my favorite coach in the whole wide world. Talking about how we can like our child when inside we dislike them. I had many conversations about feeling guilty with my therapist, telling her, I dislike my daughter. She's giving me a lot of hardship. She is pushing my buttons. She's making me feel like a failure. She's just not nice. And you know what she said? There will be times when your daughter doesn't like you, and there will be times when you don't like your daughter, and it's perfectly normal. Normal. So I wrote some notes. You know that I am a strong advocate to just let go, right? So how do we let go without losing your sanity? Because I promise you, you will feel moments where you are going to lose it. You're going to have that meltdown and sometimes a tantrum because you cannot take one more disrespectful moment. You do everything. You pour your heart and soul into this child that you gave birth to, and they don't appreciate you. They talk back to you, and they don't heed your advice. And you're supposed to love them totally, unconditionally. Unfortunately, that is our role, but it's okay to dislike them. You can't just tell them you dislike them, okay? Did you hear me? You cannot tell them. If they say, I hate you, you cannot say, well, I hate you too. That's a parenting 101 no-no. So accept your child. It is true. You have to accept your child exactly the way they are. If you're a high achiever and they appear lazy, they don't care for academics, they don't want to do the missing assignments, and school to them is boring, you cannot enforce it. But what you can do is bond with your child. Listen to what they have to say. Instead of lecturing, you listen. Not very easy to do. Coming from a parent of a 24-year-old and an 18-year-old, it is not easy to do, right? Just do without the lecturing. I think it's just part of our default, especially moms. Good morning, Bozu. It's the ROI dad. So we're talking about disliking our children, which I think is just natural, right? Especially when they don't listen. True acceptance is, I'm going to read this, one of the most powerful gifts you can give your child because, and you might not believe me, but once you let go of power struggles, they will melt away. They will dissipate because your child will no longer feel the need to play this tug of war with you. They'll actually be shocked. I know my daughter said, why are you very different? Why didn't you parent us this way when we were little? Well, I didn't know any better, right? So this is why I am pursuing this not so easy journey, but I am loving it. And I appreciate everyone who is watching. So these are my little tips for today. When you have those moments when you just dislike your child, I think it's normal, right? We dislike our spouse, we dislike our friends sometimes, even though we love them. Because they just irritate us sometimes, right? They push our buttons. Hey, March, thanks for watching. So what do? You acknowledge their feelings, right? and you acknowledge your feeling, not the child. The child is different, but right now when you're irritated, describe what you're feeling. Are you feeling like angry because they're disrespectful? Are you feeling guilty because you feel I should have taught you better? You know better than this. So you feel guilty that maybe you didn't teach the lesson effectively? Or do you just feel like they're not going to change? I've reminded them again and again and again, and it's annoying, frustrating, right? So you label these emotions and then you realize, wait, these emotions are your reactions. They do not represent, they're not your child. Do you get that? So you dislike the emotions that you're feeling, but you don't dislike your child, even though it feels like you really hate them. Because believe me, I thought, I cried and cried every time, I had my monthly thing, and I was like, I want to, be a mother so desperately. And then those teenage years come, and I question, now, why did I want to be a mother? And I laugh about it, but you know that when you are feeling really, really pissed off, you just think, I really wanted this. What am I doing wrong? You are not doing anything wrong when you feel strong dislike towards your child. You are being a human, and you are naturally going to have your buttons pushed. That's their job, because their job is to grow away from you, to emotionally mature, and to leave that nest, right? So if you're a people pleaser, and I did raise, my eldest is a people pleaser, and then recently she said, Mom, I'm going to stop being a people pleaser. And I congratulated her. I said, do not do things just because you think your parents, you make your parents happy, and then you're unhappy, not following your journey. No. So describe your feeling. What is the cause of that feeling? Is it because you had preconceived expectations? One of my friends who's not a mom said, I want to be a mom. Don't you just tell them what to do and they just do it? Can you believe if that was how easy parenting was, there would be no need for me to do this. Was it their behavior? Was it just being argumentative, right? Were they just lazy and unmotivated? Like Bozu, did they not recognize and acknowledge the ROI, the return on investment, whether it be to apply it towards education, apply it towards a harder work ethic? Do you feel like, what is that? What is the cause of that feeling? Then you realize, wait a minute, it's their behavior and my reaction. It wasn't my child, right? It was truly your reaction. Low grades, feelings of inadequacy, maybe the pressure of and worrying, are they going to pass? That was my pressure. I was a high achiever, and then I have this daughter who's throwing up tardiness, absentees, and I just thought, what am I going to do? Am I a failure as a tutor and as a parent? Major depression, guys. I thought, what am I doing wrong? Until I realized this is her journey. She wants to be a nutritionist. I said, maybe you'll help kids who have what you went through, throwing up, anxiety when they're faced with the pressure to succeed, the pressure to be, normal, which is sometimes in their eyes perfect, which none of us can be. So, as a parent, I'm here to be vulnerable. I share my failures, and I want you folks to know that by caring, right? You care, you worry, those are signs of a good parent. If you didn't care, then I would question, right? If you don't care, and I had one person said, I don't care. It's not like they didn't care. I think they detach themselves emotionally. When you disentangle from the tangle, picture your emotions as those Christmas tree lights, and they're all tangled up. And your kids' emotions are tangled up. So you feel whenever they're sad, whenever they're frustrated, whenever they're worried, you feel that you're entangled in those emotions and you feel the need to fix it. I finally told Chelsea a couple nights ago, someone yelled at her at work, customers yelled at her, then the manager yelled at her, and she thought she was doing fine. And the complaint was that she was too slow. So I immediately go into, life lessons and how, not to take it personally, and how I was yelled at to the point that I cried every day as a Hawaiian Tel customer service. Merlin, the best caregiver. I have the best dad, the best caregiver, the best. Marge is just amazing with her Dachshunds and her just being a wonderful fur baby mama. But anyway, you just rethink, right? You rethink and you think, wait a minute, their problems don't, I want you to listen to this, do not reflect your value as a parent. If you can't fix them, that is not your job to fix them. I have to say that daily. If she's crying, oh, I'm going to fail my driver's test again, or oh, I'm never going to get this math. And I have to look at her, and my cousin Yoli said, you can tell them what it doesn't feel like, it feels like you're going to fail now. But you know what? That's a temporary feeling. I know that you're going to pass one day, right? And that feeling, that self-confidence cannot be given to them. I thought I could just magically train her to be self-confident, but you can't. Some things are taught through hardship, right? Some things are taught just without your intervention. And it doesn't mean that you're creating I know sometimes I've been accused of creating like a marshmallow child, that you're enabling them or that you're being too loving. But if a child feels loved, if a child feels accepted, and a child does not feel judged, they will soar. If a child feels criticized and a child feels like they are not enough, you're going to have a lot of self-esteem problems when they become adults. So don't let your reaction control your parenting. I'm guilty of that every day. I'm very reactive. So the other thing I've researched from this parent coach, who advised to get to know your child better. We're so busy teaching them and lecturing and trying to mold them to be a successful, independent adult that we don't really find out about them, right? Well, I know I have an 18-year-old, a 24-year-old. What are their fears? What are their dreams? What are their worries? And really listen without judging, without lecturing, without I'm accused of, sharing the life lessons. You're being the teacher / coach, mom. Can you just stop that? So they keep me humble. But children will open up when they don't feel criticized and they don't feel judged, and they know that there's not going to be a lecture. So talk to your kids. This is a hard one. Talk to your kids like you like them, even though you are disliking them in the moment. Because kids can tell, right? They can tell. They're like pets. They like a dog can sense fear. Your kids can sense when you dislike them. And it's a horrible feeling as a child to know that your mom and dad don't like you. And it hurts them, right? No one likes to be lectured. Just imagine your boss treating you the way that you're treating your child when you're upset with them. Sit with that. You're being lectured, you're being yelled at, you're being told basically you're not good enough, you might get fired, and you may never succeed if you keep this behavior up. Wow. I would not even think that I would have it in me to even try to succeed. And then you stopped even attempting it because another lecture is on its way. So don't yell. That's a hard one, right? Don't use the mean face. I do the mean face, and I guess I have these eyes that just speak very loudly. And I might just say, I didn't say anything. You didn't have to say anything. Like my students will say, oh, that's wrong, right? And I say, I didn't say anything. No, your eyes said that it was wrong. Really? So try to have, you don't even have a smile, but don't have a scowl. Like, you know what? You are driving me crazy. I guess I used to say that a lot. Show that you care. I know it's hard, especially when you're frustrated, especially when your child is pushing your buttons, but commit to not criticizing. Try it for an hour. Try it for a day if you can. I am not going to criticize today, right? It's a conscious choice. I want to share the story where my mom gave me a really bad painful spanking. And as she spanked me, though, she cried. I remember this so vividly. I was about 6. And then I said, well, if you don't want to spank me, then don't spank me. And she cried and she said, do you know why I'm spanking you? And I said, no, I don't. Yeah, I broke a rule, but you don't have to spank me. I understand. And she said, I don't want to spank you because I don't want you to grow up naughty. And I thought, don't spank me. I get it. I get it. But I will never forget her crying. And I thought, it is painful to discipline your child. And some parents can do it. They can remain emotionless and they can do it. But if it's given in a hard, harsh way where your kid feels unloved, and some parents tell me, oh, they know that I love them. And then when I talk to the kids, they're like, you know what? My parents don't like me when I get bad grades. Oh, no, your parents love you. No, they don't. You don't see their eyes. You don't hear their words. You don't hear their lectures. They don't like me when I have bad grades. I disappoint them, and that means they don't like me. And I just thought, wow. Then I asked my girls, and Sabrina just shared that I interviewed her. Her interview will be up in April, but she said she thought all these years that I didn't love her dad. I said, what? She goes, yeah, because you yelled a lot at him. And I thought, oh my gosh, don't you remember those moments where we held hands or the moments where, I said nice things? And she goes, no, I just remember the fights. And I felt like a horrible mom until I realized, that was her perception. So I said, what do parents do? And she said, talk to us about it. Share your stories. And so I said, a lot of times, I was really nice to your dad, maybe when you weren't around, maybe when all of us were together, I felt stressed. But the main thing is, and I showed that I disliked him, obviously, if they thought that I didn't love their dad, but your kids will think that you don't love them when you lecture, when you criticize, and when you judge. So get calm, accept your child the way they are, and help them become the person that you know they can be. Because once you destroy and rip that self-esteem, it can take years to heal. And this is which is hard to say, I read this, and this parenting coach who's been doing it for 25 years said, this is what we should say. I invite you to say this. I know we haven't gotten along lately, especially if you're in this arguing phase, and I know I've been hard on you. I'm sorry, and I'm working on it. You don't have to justify it. You don't have to explain why you were hard on them, because as long as they hear, I'm sorry, I'm working on it, you're teaching your child the importance of apologies. You're being vulnerable. Kids love that. They love seeing that their parent is not perfect. I interviewed my second cousin who said, when you're a child, you idolize your parents and you think they are like everything, and you want to aspire to be them. And then slowly you realize they're not all that. So when they're little, and I think it can happen at any age, because I'm reconnecting with my 24-year-old, I'm still going through that dislike phase on and off with my youngest. At 18, you remember how it was. You're asserting yourself, and I'm realizing that is her journey. Her journey is to do things that make me upset, make me feel like I dislike her, but now I know it's her behavior and not her. So my ending conclusion is emotionally separate, right? Your child, maybe they're 32 and they finally they're gonna upset you no matter how old they are, right? But know that it is not your child that you dislike. You just dislike that they are not doing exactly what you want them to do. And then parents say, well, of course, they need to do what I want them to do. But guess what? We have no control over them, but we have control over us and the way we react to them. So avoid reacting. Untangle that, that emotional, I'm just going to call it emotional tangled up Christmas tree lights that are actually tangled emotions. Do not feel like you have to fix them. Do not feel like you have to lecture them, and trust your child. You're an amazing parent. So if you just trust their journey and let them go, and you let go, I think you'll have a less stressful parenting journey as well. So thank you for watching, and I will be here next week. Can you believe it's going to be February soon? My mama turns 90 on February 25th, and I want to thank Merlin for being the best caregiver ever. Bozu, you were the first dad. Someone said, you know that first dad that you interviewed? And for a split second, I couldn't remember. I'm like, what dad? The guy that did the ROI. You made a huge impression with that ROI. I mean, big thing. So thank you, Bozu. Thank you, Marge, for watching, and Merlin, and I will see you next week. Bye, guys. Have a wonderful Wednesday.